Radio operators are needed for the planes and on the ground. They get a stiff training and have to spend many months in school. Gives good appetites, and the men in the kitchen are doing their bit. Many of the cooks and bakers were previously working on Norwegian whalers and merchant ships that were torpedoed. All bread used in Little Norway is baked in the camp. Flying is a young man's job, but an old man can get a chance to do his bit with the Air Force, too. Here is the oldest man in camp, the shoemaker, more than 60. He's full of good jokes, and he does an excellent job. Mending socks and repairing uniforms for the boys in Little Norway is a voluntary contribution from Norwegian Canadian women. Women's organizations in the United States, mainly Norwegian and Norwegian Americans, have also sent large contributions of socks, mittens, and knitted scarves to the camp. Mail is here. There are no letters from home for the boys in Little Norway, as there is no mail communication with their homeland. However, many correspond with friends in the United States and Canada, and the arrivals of mail and gifts are happy occasions. This is a corner in the library of the camp, housed in the gymnasium which was given to the camp by Friends of Norway in the United States. Our next visit is to Vesli Skaugum, a province of Little Norway, so to speak, situated about 160 miles north of Toronto. This place was bought as a recreation camp, bought with funds from the men's canteen and a special gift from a Norwegian, but the heavy log buildings also accommodate hundreds of soldiers in training. The architecture and workmanship in this building is typically Norwegian. In the winter months, it is used as a recruiting center. Before the recruits are admitted to the special courses, they have to take several weeks' initial training. This includes drilling, learning military routine and discipline. At Vesli Skaugum, they get this initial drilling course and at the same time are trained as ski troops. For a possible winter invasion of Norway, it is of great value that the Air Force be thoroughly familiar with the military aspects of skiing. Through healthy outdoor life, the men get excellent physical training before they start on the special courses. Born skiers, as most of them are, they sometimes participate in ski meets in the United States and Canada when off duty. This is from a ski jump competition in the United States, where some boys from Little Norway went off with all the first prizes. Ski jumping has much in common with aviation. Chances are that men who can fly through the air with wings on their feet, like these boys, will also make good in a plane. In the season of 1942, a young fighter pilot from Little Norway participated in a series of competitions in the United States on a few days' furlough, and he brought back with him to camp the All-American Championship in ski jumping. Here he comes, All-American Champ Ola from Little Norway. And I can tell you he operates his fighter plane with equal skill. In the summertime, Vesely Skaugum is used as a recreation center for the men of the Air Force. In the beginning of October 1942, Prince Harald, the future King of Norway, enjoyed his first visit to Vesely Skaugum. Only 5 years old, but look how he handles those oars. Now for a swim. A chilly October morning. Frost on the ground. Too cold, he thinks. But if he can do it, I can. So there he goes. A real little Viking he is. In the summer season, the recruits are stationed at Lakeside Home on an island near Toronto. In February 1942, the building of an additional camp started at Muskoka Airport, 120 miles north of Toronto. With great speed, a big hangar, barracks, and mess buildings were erected. And in May 1942, the camp was ready for flyers, and the elementary flying school moved in. Here, Crown Prince Olaf and Crown Princess Martha of Norway arrived for the dedication ceremony. The Crown Prince delivers the dedication speech. Many high officers of the RAF and the RCAF also participated in the ceremony. Here are Air Vice Marshal G.O. Johnson and Air Vice Marshal McCain. When the more formal part of the dedication ceremony was over, the Crown Prince had a chat with the Norwegian architect of the camp and the Norwegian and Finnish Canadian expert workmen. Later, Prince Harald inspected the camp. The mascot of this camp is a brown bear, given to the camp as a tiny cub. Then it had to be raised on milk from a bottle, but now it's a Coca-Cola fiend. Hey, what is this thing? Pigs in a training camp? Ah, yes, but they represent an economical way of utilizing scraps, and thrift and economy are watchwords of the Royal Norwegian Air Force. The men know that their training program is paid for with the earnings from the Norwegian Merchant Marine. study is combined with plenty of exercise and plenty of healthy outdoor life. Voluntary commando training in hours off duty is very popular, and so is football and soccer and other games. And it isn't just for play and recreation either. There's a grim purpose behind it all. The boys want to be in the best of shape physically the next time they meet the Germans, the next time they get a chance to pay them back. Canada will always live in the hearts of the Norwegian boys.
Oh, Canada, terre de nos aïeux, offre et saint de flammes glorieux, car ton bras s'est porté les terres, il s'est porté la croix, ton histoire est une épopée.
Flying colors of Norway. It takes many months of intensive training before the boys are ready for combat overseas. But Norwegian air and ground crews trained at Little Norway have, in steadily increasing numbers, already seen action on different battlefields since the middle of 1941. They are fighting in all Norwegian squadrons, also as individual members of the Royal Air Force. The Norwegian fighter squadrons in Britain have participated in numerous raids on Germany and on different parts of occupied Europe, and they have shown an outstanding fighting efficiency. In the big raid at Dieppe, for instance, they were credited with one of the highest scores of enemy planes brought down by any of the Allied squadrons. The Norwegian fighters represented about 5% of Allied air strength in that fight, but they were officially credited with more than 15% of all the losses inflicted upon the German Air Force. Norwegian patrol bomber units in England and Iceland are operating over Norway and the Atlantic, convoying Norwegian and Allied ships and hunting for German U-boats. Norwegian pilots are also serving in the ferry command all over this world. A convoy bound for Britain. Norwegian freighters and tankers protected by units of the Royal Norwegian Navy. The Norwegian Merchant Marine, fourth largest in the world, has since the beginning of the war carried to Great Britain 50% of its oil and gasoline and 1/3 of its other war necessities. Some of these ships also carry another cargo of special significance. Well-trained lads from Little Norway, boys eager to join the common fight for democracy and for the freedom of their beloved homeland.